This is Mr. Brooks. We're going to do the test review today. If you look at the class website, these are the exact topics that will be on the test. There are study guides or study helps on the class website, as well as all the presentations from the previous units on variable statements, expressions, and on branching, and on how a program works. All of this study material is available on the class website. The class website is brooksprogramming.weebly.com. This is exactly what's going to be on the test. If you know this material really well, you'll ace the test. The first point that we review today, and the first question on the test, is this. We're going to show you this diagram. We're going to say, what does the A arrow mean? Anyone? Input. What's the B box? Processing. C? Okay, what's an example of input? A mouse click. What's an example of a program? Huh? The dice game. Or Chrome, or Word, or a bazillion things. What's an example of output from a program? The dice display displays a new number when you roll the dice. You click on the button and it displays a new number. Or the app plays music, or the app saves a file, or a myriad of other things. So if you know this much, you've just got 15 points. 20 points. I have the test right here. Ain't so hard. Okay, any questions about how a program works? There's a study help for this on the class website. So we're going to go over operators. What's the operator in this statement? The equal sign. What kind of operator is that? It has a name of what type of operator it is. And it happens that the equal sign is the only one of this type of operator. It's the equals operator. It is the assignment operator. Assignment always takes whatever the value of the expression is on the right-hand side and assigns it to the variable on the left-hand side. It's a very unique operator. It's the only operator that does this, but it's the operator you'll use the most. So it takes the value of the expression on the right and assigns it to the left. In this case, this is also declaring a variable called total of type int, and it's assigning it its initial value of 10. So there's kind of two statements embedded into this one line. This is not too different than the other one. What's this operator? The plus sign. It's the addition operator. Everybody knew this. No one wanted to say it. This is a mathematical operator. In this case, it's a mathematical operator because both of these are integers. Total is an integer because of the line previously. 50 is an integer because it's an integer in and of itself, all by its lonesome. So when it's integers involved, the plus sign means it's going to do a mathematical addition. If there were a string on either side of the plus, it becomes a string concatenation operator, which does a very different thing than doing mathematical addition. This is new to most of you, although I've seen some of you already use this. Plus equals 50. These two statements are exactly the same. When you say total plus equals 50, it's the same as saying total equals total plus 50. Okay? You might see this on the test. Come on back. But these two are the same. So when you see plus equals, just think of it as saying total equals total plus 50. Any question about that? This can be done with the multiplication. This is the multiplication mathematical operator because it takes two integers and multiplies them together. And in this case, the assignment operator will take whatever this evaluates to and assign it into total. This is the same thing here. These two are identical. Total times equals 2 is the same as saying total equals total times 2. These two, same. Plus equals is the same as plus. But there's an extra operator that you haven't seen so far. It's the double plus operator, also known as the increment operator. This is the same as this is the same as this. Programmers are lazy, so we don't like to type much. So if we can just say it really quick and easy, we could say total plus plus. And it's the same as saying total plus equals 1, or it's the same as saying total equals total plus 1. All three of these are the same. They evaluate to the same. She's on her way. Thank you. Okay, any questions? You will see that operator on the test, the plus plus operator. Just think of it as, oh, it's just adding 1 to total and storing it right back in total. The minus is a mathematical operator, and this is the same as this is the same as this. Total minus minus. It's the same as saying total equals total minus 1. These are all in the study guide. Hopefully they make sense to you. What operators have I left off as far as mathematical operators? The division one, that's the slash. And you can do division the same thing that you do here. Total divided by 2 or total divide equals 2. What other operator are we missing? The remainder one, the percent looking one, it's called the mod operator. It's a mathematical operator, operates the same as all the other mathematical operators. One of the questions on the test is going to say, is this a statement? Can you identify the statements that are on this in this code snippet? So a statement is a line. It actually can wrap to 2 lines or multiple lines, but it's a single line that ends with a semicolon. This is not a statement. We often refer to it as the if statement, but this line in and of itself is not a statement. These first three lines are all statements because it's a well-formed line of code that ends with a semicolon. Those are statements. This line inside the if statement is a statement because it's a well-formed line that ends with a semicolon. Expressions. How many expressions are on this screen? Anybody want to hazard a guess? Are you counting? 1 expression? It's bigger than 1. Sorry for those on the video. You're not going to see me circling all these things. I'll try to call them out. Okay, a few examples. This in and of itself is an expression that evaluates to presumably a text box. So text box 1 is an expression. Text box 1.text is an expression. That's a string. An expression has to have a type and a value. So that means text box 2 is an expression, and text box 2.text is an expression. Number 2 in and of itself isn't an expression. 5 isn't an expression by itself. What type is it? It's an integer, and its current value is 5. Number 2 divided by 5 is an expression. Are you keeping track? And number 1 is an expression. 13 is an expression, and it's an integer. Then we do multiplication first, so This is an expression after we do the multiplication, and then we do the addition, and that's an expression. I've lost track of how many expressions we're at so far. Okay, I forgot this expression. This is an expression that evaluates to an integer. This is an expression that evaluates to an expression. Convert to int 32. Both of those are. So that means this 5 on the if statement and the 20 on the if statement are both expressions. New number is an expression. New number, again, is an expression. New number greater than 5 is an expression. New number less than 20 is an expression. And then all of that ANDed together is an expression. We having fun yet? Okay, this is an expression. What is its type?
String.
It's a string. New number is an expression. It is an integer. When we add them together, in this case, it's a concatenation because a string is involved. That's an expression. I think we ran out of expressions. When it's on the left side, it's not an expression, it's a destination for an assignment. So how many did we get up to? I lost track. This is 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, somewhere around there. So it's a little bit more than one. So those are all expressions. Operators. Whew. Okay, where are the operators in this set of code? I'm going to switch code. Well, so we know these are operators. That's the assignment operator. There's an assignment operator, an assignment operator, an assignment operator. So there's 4 equal signs that are all assignment operators. This is mathematical addition, mathematical multiplication, mathematical division, greater than, and, less than, and on the answer is plus new number. That plus is the concatenation operator. I think I got all the operators. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 operators. Make sense? Blank stares. No one's stopping me. Moving on. Operator types. We talked about the operators. Can you remember all the arithmetic operators? Nina, name one of them. Add. Okay. Equals is not an arithmetic operator. Equals is the what kind of operator? Assignment operator, so it's not arithmetic. Samantha. Division. Unknown. Subtract. Max. Modulus. Very good. Maddie? I'm just going around. What's the last of the arithmetic operators? We have add, divide, minus, modulus. Think of your calculator assignment. There are 5 buttons across there. One of them. Average was one of them, but what was the first 4? Add, subtract, multiply. You knew this. You knew this. Sorry. See, there's those. Assignment operators. Caden. Equals. Fabulous. Comparison operators. How many comparison operators are there? There's a bunch. There's less than or equal. Greater than or equal. Is equal to and not equal. You'll need to know all of those and what they do. I didn't put them in the same order. Logical operators. We had one on the and I can't do an and. Okay, and what's the... If I really cared enough. There. It's a weird character. What's the next logical operator? Or. And what's the last one? It's not. It's not. So this is and or not. And takes two Boolean expressions and it says, are both sides true? If both sides are true, it will say, oh, it's true. If it's anything but that, it'll say false. So and always generates a Boolean value. All of the logical operators generate a Boolean value. Or takes the Boolean expressions on both sides and it says, are both false? If both are false, then we'll say false. Everything else says true. So if either side or both sides are true, it'll say true for the or operator. The not operator is really easy. It takes whatever Boolean expression is here and it just reverses it. If it was true, it returns false. If it was false, it returns true. Any question about the operators? Remember the assignment operators, the single equals. The double equals is the is equal to operator. All of these notes are available on the class website as well as study helps. Whew, okay. For some of you, this is going to be the easiest part of the test, and for some of you, it's going to be the hardest part of the test. I haven't done the psychology to figure out why. You're going to see this on every single test this semester. There's 4 tests. You're going to see something like this. I'm going to give you some variables defined up here. Here we say answer is an integer, its value is 42. Score is an integer, its value is 10. Cost is an integer, its value is 7. Name is a string, and its value is Paul. With that universe, those are the only variables defined in our code, our page, whatever. I need to know what type and what its value is. You're also looking to see if it's a valid expression. A valid expression always has a type and a value. If you can't figure out the type and the value, then you might say, it's not a valid expression. So if you look at one of these and you say, I don't think this is a valid expression, you would say, not a valid expression, or something similar to that. This is a really good point to point something out. On the test, it's analog. You're going to be using a pen or pencil. You're going to be writing your answers. If I cannot read your answer, you get it wrong. I don't assume that you got it right. If I cannot read your answer, you get it wrong. You need to write large enough and clearly enough for me to read it. If I can't, you'll get it wrong. So you're going to look at this expression and go, I know what that operator is. That operator is that's the addition operator. It's doing a mathematical of taking answer plus 5. Well, answer is 42. So 42 plus 5 is 47. And its type is an integer. 2 integers added together make an integer. Seems easy. So type is always going to be one of 4 things. There's 4 fingers there. Type is either going to be a string, an int, a bool, or not a valid expression. Spelled out in any way you'd like to spell it. Okay? 13. Does it have a type and does it have a value? Meredith? Type is int. What's its value? 13. Okay? If you remember this whole semester, you're guaranteed to get at least 1 point on every test. A similar question to this will be on every test. And unfortunately, about a quarter of you will get it wrong. I'm telling you the answer to the question. If you see a number sitting here all by its lonesome, it's an integer and it's whatever the value is. That's the secret answer to the universe here. Score minus sign cost. Well, I know score is 10 and cost is 7, and this is the mathematical subtraction operator. 10 minus 7 is an integer, and it's 3. Rocket science, I know. Answer times score. Answer is 42. Score is 10. 42 times 10 is an integer, and it's 420. Trick question. What's the type for this expression? 7 divided by 3. What type is it? It's an integer because it's an integer divided by an integer always creates an integer. What's the answer? What? Wait, but you're saying it's 2? There's no decimals in integers. They're just thrown away. There's no rounding. They're just thrown away. This is the other point of the test. Just like this one, something like this will be on every test. You're now guaranteed 2 points on every test. When you see the divide sign, I'm sorry for those that are not here, but you should be listening to this online. I'm sorry for those that aren't here because they're going to miss this. They'll probably miss this one too. 7 divided by 3 is integer arithmetic. It's always going to be an integer, and it's just the integer part. Throw away all the decimal stuff. 7 mod 3. Some of you are going to go, what does that do? It gives me the remainder. So 7 divided by 3 is an integer, because there are 2 integers involved here. And the remainder is 1. 2 goes into it evenly twice. 3 goes into it evenly twice, which leaves 1 left over. Is this a valid expression? Does it have a value and a type? It doesn't. This is where you would say, this is not a valid expression, or you can't trick me, Mr. Brooks. This is the first page of 2 of these. Any questions on this page? So this is a statement that doesn't evaluate like an expression. The easiest way, if you want to kind of, so because this is integer, I could say int, give it some variable name, and do that and put a semicolon at the end, and it would be valid. That would compile. It would say I'm declaring an integer variable called I, and I'm assigning it the value of this expression. Same thing if I wanted to do this. Int j equals 13 semicolon. But here I can't say int x equals, you can't have 2 semicolons at the end of the line. That would compile, but this doesn't compute. This in and of itself, int total, is not an expression that has a value. You might be able to argue, well, it's an integer, Mr. Brooks. It is the definition of an integer, but it is not an integer in and of itself. So you couldn't do that assignment that I'm showing you. Let's go on to the next page where it gets harder. Yay! Hey, look, these look very, very familiar. I have an expression or an alleged expression. I need to know what its type and value are. So this is, in quotes, hello plus name. Well, name is the string value Paul, so I can put Paul here in place of name. And it's doing plus, so it's not mathematical, right? It's doing concatenation because a string is involved on one or both sides. So it's just simply, so it's going to be a type of string, and its value is going to be, hello, Paul. Easy. Score double equal 8. That is not the assignment operator. This is the comparison operator. Score is 10, and it's asking, is 10 equal to 8? The Boolean answer, all comparison operators always give you a Boolean, is false. That's how you'd get that one correct. Cost not equal to 8. Well, cost is 7. Is 7 not equal to 8? True. 7 is not equal to 8. It is Boolean because it's a comparison operator. True. I got my not backwards. True. Thank you. 7 is indeed not equal to 8. Answer is 42. Is 42 greater than 15? Yeah, it is. It's a Boolean because it's a comparison operator, and I say true. Oh, Mr. Brooks, you're getting more complicated here. Cost greater than 5 and cost less than 10. Okay. Well, I know cost is 7, so I can just put 7s there. And I can break it down to one part at a time. Let's break it down to this part. Is 7 greater than 5? Yeah, that's true. Is 7 less than 10? That's true. True and true is true. So a logical operator is always a Boolean, and it creates a true. Score double equal 4, or cost double equal 7. Score is 10, cost is 7. Is 10 equal to 4? We'll do this side first. That's false. Is cost equal to 7? That is true. False or true? That's true. It's a Boolean and it's true. Player name plus score. Okay, well, score is 10. Player name is Paul. Paul. And so I'm concatenating, so it should be a string, and it should say Paul 10. Sean.
That's player name, not name. The string there is name. There's 7
What? A trick question?
Has not been declared.
This is not a valid expression because there is no player name in our universe. There is name, but there is no player name. Sean is correct. Not a valid expression in our universe because there is no variable called player name. It wouldn't compile even. Did you get it? Falling asleep?
I wouldn't fall asleep in your class.
Remember the 3 kinds of errors. We talked about the 3 kinds of errors before. Do you remember what they are? Syntax error is one of them. What does that mean? It won't build. It won't compile. You typed something wrong. You've put player name when the variable is called name or something like that. Or you forgot a semicolon or you accidentally deleted one of your braces. None of you have done that. I think all of you have done that. What's another type of error? Did you say runtime? You're following along right very nicely. Okay, runtime error means that your program's going along and it crashes for some reason. Usually that means that you tried to use a variable that didn't contain what you thought it was. On your calculator program, if you typed letters in where it was expecting numbers, it would crash. I didn't mark you off on that because we're not dealing with error handling. Your computer's really bad. The last, or the third kind of error is a logical error. Logical errors come into play when you have if statements, pretty much. And that means that you thought you coded your if statement correctly, but it went right instead of going left or something, vice versa. It's doing the thing that you didn't expect it to do, and you're scratching your head going, how come it's doing that? Those are the 3 kinds of errors: syntax error, runtime error, and logical error. Variables. Variables have 4 properties. Name, type, value, scope. You remember the rules for the name? What characters can you use for naming a variable? Letters A through Z. What did you say? Camel case is the type. So that's very good segue. So camel case is the convention that we use for how we form the letters. But you can use letters A through Z, upper or lower case, and 0 through 9, and underscore. Those are the only characters you can use, and it cannot start with a number. Camel case says that if I'm naming it, if I'm doing total score or something like that, I would capitalize the S in the first letter of every word after the first word. So the first word is all lowercase, and every word after that has the first letter uppercased. That's camel case. The type, in our world we know about 3 base types: int, string, and bool. So it has a type, a value. That means that it can store an int, string, or bool. We've also used text blocks and buttons and stuff like that, but just stick to the int, string, and bool. The value, if it's a bool, is going to be true or false. If it's an integer, it's going to be whole numbers using 0 through 9, positive or negative. If it's a string, it's anything in quotes, including what we call null, which means I'm a string, but I really don't have any value. Now the scope is the lifespan of the variable. We're going to go over that. So here's a little bit of code. We have variables of various names. Let's go over a few of them. String name. This is a variable. It's called name. It's of type string. Its value, when you do just that, is null. Int, my number, is a variable. It has a value of 0 initially. Oh, you came back. I don't need to see that. You came back. This is a variable name called random. It's of type random. These are my name, my number, name. Here's another variable that we declared called guess. Another variable we declared, a string variable called m. Now, if we talk about the scope of a variable, you're going to need to do this for the test. Imagine, if you will, there are numbers starting with 1 up here, going down to whatever this number is. I'm going to just say it's line 20. These are line numbers. And the question on the test says, there's a variable called random in here. What is its scope? And it's going to give you choices, and it's going to say, is it line numbers 1 through 10, 5 through 18? Different things. So you're going to look, and you're going to find random where it's declared. And let's say this is line 15. I don't know. It's line, there could be other lines in here. And you're going to say, well, it starts here, because this is where it's declared. And because it's contained within this brace, it ends here. So the variable random's scope or lifespan starts on this line number, ends on this line number. So if I said, well, what's the lifespan of the variable called my number? Well, my number is way up here. We're going to say it's on line 3. And because it goes with whatever the matching closing brace is that's off screen down below. But this space up here is usually reserved for declaring what kind of variables?
Universal variables.
Or global variables. Global, universal, worldwide variables. Okay? And so you could say line 3 through whatever this line number is. Let's say it's 100 down here at the bottom. Or the choice on the test might say, is it line 3 through 5? Is it line 3 through 25? Or is it pretty much the whole program? You would say it's pretty much the whole program. Global variables are pretty much the whole program. Technically, they start on the line they began on right here, but they're pretty much the whole program. Making sense? Let's see. What comes next? Another example. Same thing, only different. So we have variables called guess, m, another m. Those are the three variables that are created in this code snippet. Guess is an integer. It starts on this line, which is right inside private, and it goes until the closing brace of that button guess click. So that's the scope of the variable guess. Now this m inside if guess is less than my number, and this m, which is inside if guess is greater than my number, are two different m's, aren't they? I won't do this to you on the test, but this m starts here and ends there, and this m starts there and ends there. You can't use m down in here because it doesn't exist. If you were trying to say, well, m is equal to some string or something. You couldn't do that because m started and stopped just within a couple lines here and a couple lines there because of its scope. That's another 15 points on the test. You're welcome. Remember, variables have four properties: name, type, value, scope. Aha! So we have syntax rules, and I talked about the syntax rules for variable names. A through Z, 0 through 9, underscores. Going with the syntax rule, and it cannot start with a number, let's cross out which of these is not a valid variable using the syntax rules. Which one's not valid on here? Well, this one's fine. It's the letter A. This one's fine, although poorly named. Underscores are fine. Text message is fine. Num, PNTS, that's a dollar sign. Dollar signs cannot be used. This is not a valid variable name. Money, it's A through Z. Player name, 3 bonus. 3 bonus is not valid because it starts with a number. Add underscore output, that's perfectly fine for syntax because underscores are allowed. Value 3, that's allowed. Has potion is allowed. Toast is saved. Count, X. Live left. Rem rolls, height, total, fine. Those are all fine. What about go home? No, because it's using a dash. You can't use that in a variable name. So from a syntax perspective, we'll get to convention in a second. From a syntax perspective, the ones that are invalid on this page are num PNTS, 3 bonus, and go home. So now let's go to conventions. Which are valid based on conventions? Well, these 3 are still invalid because they're not valid anytime. But the convention is called camel case. Everything's lowercase except the first letter of each subsequent word after the first word. Is this valid from a camel case convention? Yes. A is fine. Underscore X5H DY2. Questionable. I don't know what all those letters mean. We'll say, I'm just going to put a question mark. I'm not going to give you one like that. Text message, is that valid from camel case? Yes, because M of message is capitalized, text of T of text is lowercase. How about money, capital M? No, because first letter of first word is lowercase. Player name, that one's fine. Add output, not fine. O of output would have to be uppercased. Value 3, that's fine. Has potion is fine. Toast is fine. Is saved is fine. Count is not fine because C of count is lowercase. I mean, it should be lowercase. X is not fine. That's actually a capital X. If it was lowercase x, yes?
How will we know, like ones like that where it's like, we don't know if it's upper or lowercase?
I won't have one like that on the test. That's how you'll know. Live left, could have spelled it out like lives left or something like that, but that's fine because
Oh man, programmers are lazy. We don't have time to spell out that.
rem rolls is not fine because R of rem should be lowercase. Height's fine, total's fine, find is fine. Any questions on variable names? Yes, but in my world and my enforcement, O would need to be uppercase. Camel case is up for a little bit of debate, but in the Mr. Brooks universe, you would uppercase O. What?
Who's next?
Thank you. Rem rolls. Good question, though, Maddie. Branching. Oh, you're going to hate me. This is extremely similar to what's on the test. And you're going to go, okay, how do we do this, Mr. Brooks? What do you think this means? S, which is a string, plus equals A. What does that mean? I introduced it to you earlier, and I said that I plus equals 1 means the same thing as I equals I plus 1, right? That's mathematical, and that makes sense. What does it mean when you're dealing with the string? Well, it's the same kind of thing. It's S equals S plus A, which is just saying, in a longhand kind of way, add the letter A to the end of the variable S, whatever S currently contains. So I'll show you that in practice now. So we've got this little piece of code. You're going to have almost this exact same piece of code on your test. And I'm giving it I say X is equal to 10 and Y is equal to 20. So keep those in mind. Where you see X is 10 and Y is 20. X is 10, Y is 20. X is 10, Y is 20. All right. Is 10 less than 20? So for an if statement, that means we go inside, right? Now this is the else of that if statement. That means because we went inside here, all of this is ignored. See how we just cut the problem in half? Okay, so now we come to this line. Is 10 greater than 5? You can do this, right? That's true. So we come in here and it says S plus equals A. Well, S is letters, and it says just add an A on the end. Okay, I added an A on the end. So now it's letters, that's not there. Okay, that's what I just did. Now this is the else of that if, and that's the else of that if, so I'm done. So when X is 10 and Y is 20, the answer is going to say hey you, what is the value of S after it's run through this code using X is 10, Y is 20? And you're going to say it's letters colon A. And you're going to look through the choices and say, okay, it's C. Bing. Make easy? Sure. Because you're always going to look at this and you're going, oh man, this is huge. Yeah, ain't so bad. All right. Now we change it up on you and we say, okay, it's not this anymore. It's X is 20. X is 20, Y is 10. Is 20 less than 10? No. So that means we just threw all this away and we come in here. We're going to the else portion of this. Is 20 greater than 5? Yeah, it is. So you're going to put a D on the end, and most of you are going to say, I'm done. You're not. Don't fall for it. This is the trick. All of you here are going to know this trick, and those listening to the video. Notice that this is a new if statement here, but I just kind of put it up nice and close. This is the trick. It's on the test. And so you're going to get done with this, and then you're going to come here and you're going to say, hey, okay, now I'm going to say, is Y greater than 5? Well, Y is 10. 10 is greater than 5. Yep, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add an E on the end. So you see how that worked? Now this is the else to that if. That means, so because I came in here, I'm done. And so the answer is letters DE. This is on the test. Warning, warning, warning. Okay? Any questions on how that worked out? Log into your computers. Or you can pull out your phones. and install the Kahoot app. We're going to play Kahoot. There's test helps. You've got the study guides on the class website. You have the slides of the presentations. I'm going to be posting this video out there. You've got the assignments that you've done, and you've got the worksheets that you've done. All of those are designed to help you with this. Now that we're going to play Kahoot, the test is sometime next week when we get the schedule. Oh, you missed it. Class, there's no school on Friday.
No, I didn't miss it.
Oh, you were here for that?
Yeah.
Okay.